Love. I woke up in the middle of the night and I've feeling called to share. And what's coming through is it's July 23rd, by the way. And as far as our collective intuitions go, what's coming through is the rising compassion and deeper healing. So we have soul tribe, or like soul tribes around the world are beginning to unite, and this is allowing there to be a reset of energies. It's also to do with this sort of culmination completion cycle on quite a few different timelines, and also it's having to do with our own human mastery of energy via love's understanding. So our ability to understand our own energy and manifestation, both on an individual level and also on the collective sort of earth realm level. So like how we are creating here, there's like a much broader understanding of how it works. And this is also part of the mass trigger points that's assisting in, and this is like the divine basically, so it's totally beyond any one human's function. But yeah, mass trigger points to stimulate mass awakening. So we've anchored in, like the first couple waves have been anchoring in. I have a note that says star beings anchoring new earth template. So, and again, it's like abstract, right? Because it's just our beingness. It's all this shit that we're doing. It's all this inner work. It's all this awareness. It's presence and meditation and vision, imagination, and our ability to really dwell in that void, in that emptiness, in that nothingness. And then that is ushering in greater conflicted trigger points, which that just means like despair, intensity, grief, loss, and remembering there are no victims. So certainly for the empath, that's a really important piece in our, not to be cold and detached, but to remember that we don't, in our own consciousness field, need to get involved in the drama of other. However, from that open-hearted space, we hold space. We allow ourselves to be a loving channel for whomever it is that we're guided to or is guided to us for the healing, for that experience. So I'm just hearing the word like shockwave of events are taking place and will continue to take place. It's part of the shift for more people to leave the property market. I'm hearing banks collapsing. And then the soul tribes, have a lot to do with like being an earth worker and being guided to certain parts of the earth. And if you think back to like about 2 years ago, roughly, there were a lot of seeded intentions being planted, again, for like new paradigm activity. So a lot of the building momentum, and then all the kind of energy detours and shocking energy healings and heart activations and all this kind of stuff increasingly is building the momentum. And then as we continue to focus the mind and move in that direction, we're seeing more make manifest. And it's really important for us to stay grounded. Yeah, and there is stuff definitely coming up around social media, how we're using media in general. I can feel it in my being, so I'm talking like firsthand about where and how I feel I'm being guided. And increasingly, it's just a fact of like basically, yeah, having to put the phone down, hanging out with nature and people versus the phone, and at the same time like taking and claiming days of rest or days of just pure ease and days of just beingness, and then this shift and up level of just the heart space of being with the heart space in love with self, in love with life, and then emitting that sense of love. And that's also the binary of all of this awakening stuff, but with the perpetuation of the fearful agenda, the increasing volatility and panic and fear. Ultimately, that increasing energy is also, you know, triggering people's deeper release, people's awakening to see beyond the veil. It ultimately is all leading to the self-responsible human collective, the one mind, the one Christ, the one body, that we're unifying our sense of understanding of how we create here to up level it, to quantum leap our humanity on earth. Hence the, just like in our personal lives, like the stuff that we can't or are asking us to release in the here and now, it's the same for our societies, it's the same for our cultures, it's the same for our politics and our governments and all this kind of stuff. The walls and the pillars and the foundations that aren't stable, that aren't working for the whole, they're being called out. I'm hearing as well backlash, so it's really important for this community to be aware of energetic backlash. So whenever you rise up, there's going to be a counter effect. There's going to be a, yeah. And then to remember this as well, it's like a continual spiral. So we're always going to kind of, I mentioned this so on about desire, test, receive. A little bit like ask and, I don't even remember what it is, ask and receive or something like that, but you have to let go, right? So whenever we're reaching to the higher heights, bearing in mind that there's going to be a bottom out, that whatever it is that we're reaching for, new love, more money, blah, 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 we're going to create a situation to bring us down from that high before it makes manifest. So we might, you know, go think, yeah, I want to change my job, so I'm going to go for this new job and it's going to be amazing. And you get really ramped up, throw out some applications, don't get any back, and are going, you know, like, I can't do it, I don't believe. So when you bottom out after that high, that's the opportunity to address the energy, the thought patterns, the unconscious belief systems that limit you from manifesting that higher vision. Similarly, when we meet people in our relationships, in falling in love, we can initially meet somebody, feel this incredible high, this like, oh my God, like, and we all do this, like, could it be? Could this person be the one? All this shit, right? And yet, ultimately, we know that that's not the reality. We know as a self-responsible community that we're not looking for completion in other. At the same time, we're all desiring connection, friendship, companionship, love, awesome, you know, juicy sex vibrashe. And so when we create that high, there's gonna be a downturn where we get to look at all of our shitty projections, all of our unconscious beliefs, all of the things that would limit us from being able to make that like a reality, or to ground it, to integrate it, right, into our being. So desire, test, receive. Remember that you go up, there's going to be a downturn, but in the downturn is the opportunity to address the energy and the thought frequencies that keep you there, rather than moving into the greater love, the greater passion, the greater abundance. You know, basically living your dream life, your most epic badass life. It's always a cycle. There's always going to be a kind of outworking of patterns and outworking of belief systems and all of that. And of course, it's just our continual work to remember to be here now and be present with all that you are, ultimately. Pooh. So it's literally like 1 o'clock or something, and I wanted to get up and share. Also, I want to share this. This is like a local, how pretty is this? It's a local artisan pottery. If you guys know, I'm in Portugal at the minute, covering some yoga for a lovely yoga couple. And oh, I don't know if you can see the passionate love behind me, but yeah, like so beautiful. The community here is like one of the coolest, most down to earth, genuinely loving kind of yoga surf communities I've ever come across. So I feel like Sagres might be a place that I like, just like Bali. Like I have that resonant connection and sort of spiritual home with Bali. This feels like a nice place to be, to heal and to, you know, work and all that. So yeah, I have class. I'm starting teaching today, so I've got a session at 9 and I'm starting to feel, so I'm like, I'm gonna have to have a little snooze, but I really appreciate you guys reaching out. I'm feeling fab, to be honest. Like, having a break from things is often really great, so I just appreciate you guys' love and support. All I can say is like I'm gonna have to keep sitting and like noodling and feeling the presence, because there's a lot of shifty. Oh yeah, oh my gosh, and that was something, tectonic plates. Just that I'm hearing this is like a big shift, a big well, tectonic plates. That's something to do with maybe earthquakes, or well, earthquakes the same, like a shifting land mass. And then Africa, I'm hearing Africa. Something about the split and the fault line. And then I'm weirdly hearing it's something to do with actually dissolving the old control system very much. That in its representation, there's aspects of Earth's current manifestation that's not, and or it's not, it's breaking down because of the reason it came together was a different constellation for the Earth paradigm of where we're coming from. And so just like we know our manifestation requires like action and all this, the Earth also has to shapeshift. Like the waterways are moving. And then it's something to do with like the Earth axis. So it's like a tilt versus being in like an alignment rather than like a tilt. And it has to do with like the amount of solar energy that the Earth is receiving in a consistent way. And like the tilting off. It was actually a protective, like a divine protection. And we're slowly, I think this has something to do with like the pole shift as well, like the pole shift. So the pole shift is also connected. And we already know this all. It's just that like the solar flares are hitting up against, and this is sort of, in waves, breaking down the walls, breaking down the structures that don't work, including shaking up and dissolving the false grid lines of Earth. It's in our beingness that we know the truth, hence why we think less, be more. And it's the beingness that's guiding us always. It's really usually the thought that fucks with us. But however, being present with thought, certainly those of us on this path, it's every time we go into those emotional storms or blame and attack, or in our mind just like fear and blah blah, every time we feel that stuff, we have an opportunity to address collective programs. And I'm feeling this really powerful now, like those of you who resonate with this channel, most of us are really stepping into a broader service for the collective. But again, that's why we kind of need each other to noodle stuff out, because invisible. And it's not necessarily connected to any group consciousness that's already established. I hear most group consciousness is affiliated with a false construct, because there's still an aspect of power, domination, control. And then I'm hearing and feeling in my own beingness the sense of really stepping away from like money as a thing. And it's tricky to describe unless you're vibing it, but like just not letting go of the concept of it completely and simply living your truth, living your path, and allowing it all to kind of just like drop in, because we're now really at the leading edge of the awareness of the leap, of the shift. I'm just hearing like bankers are coming down. There's people within the system playing certain roles that are going to get ready to jump. Unity, basically. Unity and awareness. And the people rising to claim back the heritage of their birthright here. And basically staying in divine purpose and trusting your connections. And we've just hit that reset point, so there might be connections that were lessons up to recently. However, it's important to stay in non-judgment, to stay in trust, and to stay in your inner knowing of the beauty of humanity. Trust in the self, knowing, trust in the loving projections. I think that's it. I'm taking a bit of a, I guess, break from the live shares right now, and I also am aware of needing to take a break from like checking and maybe reading comments as well, just for a little bit. I really am feeling like just people and nature and a little bit less devices and media, and I'll broadcast and share updates, obviously. And I am getting my way through the monthly tarot for August, and I also have I'm gonna do a new moon energy update as we approach the new moon. And I'll likely do like a monthly just collective intuition like this, but for the month of August in review. Because the energies, I think people are riding waves and then they keep coming. And so it's like more and more people are gonna be seeking, you could say. So if you are knowing and know that you're in service and know that you're awakened and know that you're on this journey, then it's encouraged to very much step into it now. It's like the masses are now like waking up and a little bit either angry or in shock or like cognitive dissonance sort of thing. And there's like a sort of like a mass exodus as well. It's to do with density and frequency. So there's just certain beings who, it's like all this stuff, the pain that we feel, the healing is actually love, right? So people's energy density on this frequency belt, when as the love's like continuing to come in, it's stirring up all of the deepest distortions. We are obviously in karmic cycles with humans as well, so that's part of it, i.e. there are no victims. But it's like increasing and moving to that time where people's lifespan, if they are not desiring to do any of this kind of work, if they're not desiring to shift anything or address any of their emotional wounding or what have you, then we'll see this sort of mass exodus. And then that's why more empaths and intuitives and stuff like that have to come online, because it's our service to help clear the astral from this exodus, because souls are really confused. There's a lot of confusion as the world is shape-shifting, right? So even as they're exiting, because that's part of this whole reintegration process, is finding our connection again, so that we remember how to consciously in sacred divine order bringing life into this world, and then letting souls leave this realm as well. There's a denial of how to die sacredly. You could leave, how to exit, how to leave this body. Obviously that's to do with like the Archon grid and the demiurge and these false these false timelines that people keep reincarnating into, but hence mass distortion, mass confusion, and people's souls are just bouncing out because they're not anchored anywhere real, and their soul knows it, and so it's like touch in, that's not it, out, touch in, that's not it, out. So those of us with the seated potentiality within ourselves to hold space, to clear, just continuously really to clear and clear, and then we can assist one another in refining our discernment, intuitive knowing around the energies that we're working with, whether in the physical 3D stuff or in different astral realms, with regards to souls exiting here. Often all we need to do is embody lots of love and light, like be loving light, and consciously invoke or ask or work with the soul's energy. Yeah, for calm and release. It's, again, a lot of it isn't like we can talk about these things, but most people are just doing it intuitively and waking up spontaneously. That's often the biggest shift in our surrender and awakening, is having a lot of despair, a lot of grief, a lot of suffering, and then bottoming out with it. And then in that depth of grief, we often have these experiences which peel back a veil and help us see the world beyond what we were kind of taught, right? Yeah, okay, so I'm going to close it down there, you guys. I love you so much, and I'm so appreciative. If the stuff I share here resonates with you, please feel free to subscribe. I appreciate your loving and supportive comments. And yeah, I'll just keep going. Love you. Bye.